Welcome back, folks. UFC Vegas 103 is this weekend, and I'm here to give you my prediction as well as a breakdown for every single fight on that card. Now, I want to say there are some fights on this card that a lot of very live underdogs. Let's put it that way. This fight card is an interesting one from a betting perspective, but as well as just a matchmaking perspective. We got some good matchups, some fun matchups, and I think we're going to get an overall fun card in the Apex for UFC Vegas 103. Now, my links are all in the description. If you wish to check those out, feel free to do so. If not, whatever. We're about to go to the first fight, so I'll see you there. We find ourselves at flyweight. Charles Johnson takes on Ramazan Temirov. Temirov is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. 4-1 for Charles Johnson. Now, Charles Johnson has really turned things around in the UFC because the guy came in, kind of just would lose by split decision. Was kind of like, Charles Johnson probably going to be close, but he's probably going to lose. He's turned it around. Dude's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So this is interesting because now he's fighting a guy, young, up-and-coming prospect kind of thing, 5-0. But there's a big height and reach advantage on the side of Charles Johnson. Let's look at the skills, though, for Ramazan Temirov. What does the guy do well? He's a power striker. He's a good one at that. He's got good power, big, heavy overhand, and he's going to come forward and throw. He's got some nice spinning kicks as well. It is a spin, so it does still get that like plus-minus thing from me because it's rare that I can count on your spinning kicks to be great. He does have good spinning kicks. I'll give him that, though. They are good. Decent wrestling. He'll mix in the takedowns if he needs to, but typically he's more of a striker going for bombs, and he's going to start quick. I feel like at a high clip, he's winning the first round because we've got Charles Johnson on the other side who starts incredibly slow. He gives up the first round in just about every fight. So at a high clip, Temirov is going to win the first round. He might even get a finish in the first round. But if you look at Charles Johnson, the dude's pretty tough, and he's a solid striker. He's got a good body kick, puts together combinations, punches and kicks together seamlessly, strikes all of the different levels. He does a darn good job in the striking. He doesn't have that like put your lights out power typically. Saw it against Josh Van, but normally when he's winning these fights, it's not just one shot deading guys. Does have good grappling as well. He'll attack submissions. He goes for the ground and pound. He seamlessly puts those things together. Good scrambles. His takedown defense is a little bit, but that's what happens when you come forward with that kind of Thai style. But he does bounce right back to his feet pretty well. The big issue here is I think that Charles Johnson is the better fighter overall. I think he's skill for skill. If you just in a vacuum line up their skills, he's a better fighter. But he's going to give up the first round at an extremely high clip. And it's hard to back a guy when you know he's starting the fight off down a round. I don't like that. I don't like it. But at the same time, I feel like he's probably going to win round 3 at a high clip. So he has to survive that first round. And the power of Temirov is real. So the dude can actually put it on somebody like Johnson. But he's going to have to close a lot of distance because the range is there for Johnson. And Johnson is not an easy striker to hit. He's the type of guy that's elusive. He's good at rolling with punches. He's good at, putting together his own combinations when you miss. Yeah. Let's go Charles Johnson. He is the underdog. And he's probably giving up the first round. So that first round is going to frustrate the heck out of you if you're on the Johnson side. But I'm going to take him. I think he can get this one done. I think he can get this one done by surviving that first round and then turning up the volume, turning up the pace, and doing what he needs to do to get it done. But let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all your feedback in the comments. I do enjoy reading it. And ladies, in the 125-pound division here, Montana De La Rosa takes on Luana Carolina. Carolina 3-2 in her last 5 fights. De La Rosa is 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Interesting matchup because we've got more or less a striker versus grappler. Luana Carolina, she's a good striker with good volume and pretty good striking defense. When I look at her fights back, she's good at just not getting hit often, and that's how she's able to win some of these fights where even if she is getting taken down, she's able to win these fights by just not getting hit very often and landing some decent volume of her own. She's got a good Thai clinch, knees and elbows there. She's very good at working those in. The Muay Thai is the style she uses when she strikes. And her takedown defense has come a long way. Now, at one point in her career, it was a big weakness for her. It's improved drastically. Now, is it of the level to go against someone like Montana De La Rosa? That's what we find out this weekend. Because De La Rosa, she's a good wrestler with good takedowns and good top control. If she's able to get on top, I think she can stay there. Can she do that early enough to win the fight? Can she do that often enough to win the fight? That is the key. Her striking is just all right. She's got a decent 1-2. Not a whole lot else to offer for her. She'll mix in some other stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's not like she doesn't have anything else, but her striking defense isn't the best because she just kind of gets hit as she's trying to look for stuff. You'll see her with a busted nose in most fights. Honestly, I think it's going to be a striker winning this matchup by just landing the volume early enough, getting those shots in there, and using a decent amount of takedown defense as the fight goes on to get the win. I'm going with Luana Carolina to get this one done. I think she gets a nice decision there. Unanimous 29-28. We'll say De La Rosa wins the first round with some takedowns. But let me know what you guys think. And fun scrap here at featherweight. We have Danny Silva taking on Lucas Almeida. Silva 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 on the Almeida side. Now, this is going to be a fun fight because Danny Silva's always in fun fights. Basically, that's plain and simple. Dude's a solid striker, is Danny Silva. He's got good forward pressure, plenty of volume. He does have good head movement, but he gets hit a lot even using it. Now, the thing that makes this considered good head movement by my estimations, maybe you disagree with me, is that even if he's getting hit while he's moving his head like this, he's not getting hit while he's just running right into the punch. A lot of times it's hitting him and glancing as he goes by, things like that. So, or he's like getting hit with a hook as he's going this way. So say the hook hits here and he's going with it, where he's not absorbing the full force. So the head movement does help out. So that's why when he's getting hit by these, he's not getting rocked, wobbled, and dropped as much because he does have pretty good head movement. But like I said, he gets hit a lot. So good ability to work the body, works the legs. So basically he works all 3 levels, and that's really good. Decent grappling. He's got decent takedown defense, and then when he is taken down, he gets back to his feet quickly. His body lock is pretty good. He can use it to get takedowns, but he can also use it to take the back, whether that be standing or once he gets to the mat, he'll stay on the lock and start working right to the side as they try to get back up. But I do like that for him here. I think that's a good option he can go to if the striking isn't going his way. Now, on the other side, Lucas Almeida, he's a good striker as well. Tons of power, he's accurate, and he's very fast. Those are all things that you like, and when he hits, you're going to feel it. So I do think that if Almeida starts having some success on the feet, Silva might be in trouble and have to start going to that grappling. That could be dangerous too because, let's be honest, Almeida's got good grappling. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have the best open mat takedowns. That could be a problem for him. And his takedown defense is, he tries to strike his way away from a takedown. So he'll try to defend the takedowns by striking and making you back up or hurting you. It doesn't work that often, but when it does, it really works. But he does have a solid choke arsenal, and he does have the ability to work off of his back pretty well. But working off your back is a low percentage way to win fights in MMA. So realistically for me, I end up on the Danny Silva side. But I think we're going to have a heck of a fight, a fun fight, good scrap, all that fun stuff. I think Danny Silva is going to be able to put enough pressure on a guy like Almeida on the feet that both guys are going to be able to land, but I think the volume is going to be on the Silva side. And I think if he needs to mix in takedowns, even though Almeida might be the better grappler, skill for skill, I think Almeida is going to be on his back more often than not, and that's going to help Silva out. So we're going to take Danny Silva. Let me know what you guys think. Flyweights next. Both of them with a bit of a rut, So we've got Andrea Lee. She's coming in with 0 wins and 5 losses in her last 5 fights. It's not what you like to see when we look at the marker board here. Now, on the other side, JJ Aldrich, only 2-3 in her last 5, also not the best. So it's kind of one of those things where the loser's probably looking at, maybe hoping the UFC doesn't cut him. The winner buys some time. Now, when we look at these two in their skills, JJ Aldrich, decent striker. She works the jab well. She's got good volume, and she can put together some decent combinations, mostly boxing-style combinations. They're not great combinations, but they're there, right? Decent wrestling. She'll mix in the takedown. She has pretty good takedown defense. She works to get back up if she is taken down. And if she ends up on top, she's got decent top control. She's not really, really good anywhere, but she's decent everywhere. And if she comes in with the right game plan, she can beat somebody by just being decent where they're not. Now, on the other side, Andrea Lee, she's good in the striking. She's got good combinations, good volume, and a decent amount of power. And I think that skill for skill, her striking is probably better than Aldrich. She's got a good tie clinch. She's damaging strikes in the clinch, knees, elbows, things like that. Slices people up. She does a good job with it. Her grappling is where she can cause herself some problems, right? She has decent takedowns offensively. That's cool. But defensively, her takedown defense isn't the best, and she can be held down. Now, she does have a good triangle off of her back, but realistically, that's just not a way to win consistently in MMA. She's 0-5 in her last 5 fights as well for Andrea Lee. She's got 10 losses in the career. Half of them are in her last 5 fights. Something's wrong there. And even though I think she's the better fighter skill for just looking at things like that, something's going on here. That's not what, I understand the competition's pretty good, this, that, and the other, but she's not fighting the way that you would expect someone with her skills to fight. I think we're going to see a lot of top time from Aldrich. It's going to come down to, does Andrea Lee do enough damage in the in the open striking area before getting taken down and laid on for a while, because I do think Aldrich can get takedowns, and I think she will do that at some point in this fight. Oh, boy. Give me Aldrich, I guess. Guys, don't bet this one, please. If you do, maybe the over. It's probably going over. But, yeah, this is... Yeah, I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Bantamweight, we have Douglas Silva de Andrade taking on John Castaneda. Both of these guys are 3-2 in their last 5 fights. For Castaneda, he is a good striker, good forward pressure, kind of a wild style, but he puts out a lot of volume, and that comes down from that high pace that he fights with. Good wrestling as well. He'll mix takedowns in middle of a striking exchange. So, like, the guy will be out there throwing his combinations, his volume, guys counter-striking back, whatever, and then he'll just drop down, change levels, and get a takedown. That's really cool. I like to see that from wrestlers because a lot of them don't. They either have to be striking or grappling. When you can mix them together, that's how you have success with the takedowns. Good scrambles. His arm triangle is actually probably his best submission, and that's a submission that I like for an MMA skill set because when you're on top, you can secure the arm triangle before you dismount, or at least for the most part, secure it before you dismount. And that kind of eliminates any potential or a lot of potential for you to give up position to go for a submission, which it can be very deadly in MMA if you go for, say you have mount and somebody's trying to like push you off or whatever and you roll for an arm bar. Well, if you don't get that arm bar, now they're on top and that's some trouble. It's not the same with an arm triangle. So I do like to see that. On the other side, Douglas Silva de Andrade. He's getting up there. Dude's 39 years old, but he's still a solid striker. Dude still comes forward. He still has volume and he still has power. He's willing to eat one to give one, and we haven't really seen that have to come back and bite him yet. The dude still has the dog in him. Good jiu-jitsu as well. He uses it mostly defensively these days. Decent takedown defense. Uses his jiu-jitsu to work back to his feet positionally. Maybe get a sweep. Maybe get someone off balance so he can create a scramble and get back up. He's going to struggle in the scrambles against a guy like Castaneda, who's that high pace type of guy. But I do think he can get back to his feet at least a few times in these fights and get to the cage, work his way back up that way. This is going to be interesting because it comes down to, do I think Silva de Andrade still has enough left in the tank to land those big shots? Because he's got to win moments against Castaneda, because the minutes are probably going to be Castaneda just doing more. And if you look at MMA math, Silva de Andrade just lost to Miles Johns. Castaneda submitted Miles Johns quite a while back. There's that. Now, I don't think MMA math always works. That's, styles make fights, all this good stuff. Plus, Miles Johns has also been improving quite a bit since then. It's a tough one. Honestly, I'm going to take a shot on Douglas Silva de Andrade as a pretty sizable underdog. It's more than plus 200. I think he's got a real shot here. He could crack Castaneda, win some rounds with the knockdowns, things like that. And I think he has enough grappling ability to keep it to the feet. I'm going to take Douglas Silva de Andrade. There's a chance that this pick switches. I could go back and forth. I know everybody and their mother seems to be on Castaneda this week. And it makes me wonder if I'm missing something. So I might go back and do some more tape, but I do think I got to lean Silva de Andrade. We're going to take him for now. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys. Featherweight matchup here. Ricardo Ramos takes on Chepe Mariscal. Do you guys remember when his name was like Jose? But Chepe Mariscal. He's 5-0 in his last 5 is Mariscal. 2-3 in the last 5 for Ramos. And both guys are 17-6, so that's interesting to see. You don't often see mirroring records, so it's interesting when that happens. Now, for Ramos, that 2-3, he won a split decision in his last fight that was quite controversial. So that could easily have ended up being a 1-4 in the last 5, but he did get the split, so there that is. Now, for Mariscal, there is a bit of an asterisk next to his last win because he went in at like 149 pounds for a 145-pound fight. So, when we miss by that much, usually it's intentional. Usually. Maybe not always, but usually intentional. So that's something to take into account as well. So both guys with some interesting notes in their last fight. But let's look at Mariscal first. He's a good striker with good power. He's got good flurries when he strikes, and he can put together a decent combination. He's a good wrestler as well. He's got good takedowns. He has the ability to reverse position when fighters try to take him down, and he's got good ground and pound if he gets on top. But his best weapon to me, lately anyway, has been that pacing. He's able to keep going, keep coming forward, and keep that pace up and make guys have to work. And then he's pretty much good enough everywhere that doesn't matter where he has to keep the pace up, he's able to do fairly well. Now on the other side, for Ramos, good striker. He's the more dynamic striker, that's for sure. He has a very diverse attack, mixes in a lot of different things. He does spin quite a bit, which could be good, could be bad. Sometimes those spinning shots are really, really impressive. Sometimes they're not. It's kind of like we saw last week where Nick Klein almost came through as a plus 900 underdog, hitting that spinning elbow. He was this close, this close. If he had just a little bit more gumption on that, he probably could have got to it and started attacking the guy while he was hurt, but he didn't. He kind of pushed him up against the cage and let him recover. However, spinning attacks also can result in things like we saw Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, where you turn just at the wrong time. You dominate in the fight, and then you just give up your back and get choked out. They're very boom or bust, if you will. So there's that. Excellent leg kick. Probably his best weapon on the feet is the leg kick. In the grappling, he's pretty good there. He's got good takedowns good timing on his takedowns, good transitions. He takes the back extremely well, but he does get stuck on bottom often. And we've seen him subbed in a couple of fights not too long ago. Last 2 losses are both submissions, guillotines even, which it's not usually a good look. But either way, he can get stuck on the back, and that could be a problem for him here because Mariscal definitely will have some pretty good top pressure. So this is going to be an interesting one. I have to side with Chepe Mariscal. Yes, I'm still mad at him for beating my boy Jackson, but that's okay. We're going to take him to win. I think he beats Ramos here. I think he's going to be able to outwork him. I think he's going to be able to keep that pace up, and I think maybe, possibly later, he starts to get Ramos worked down to the point that he's starting to fade a bit, and that's where the possible finish comes in. So give me Mariscal. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the welterweight matchup between a couple of prospects. Danny Barlow comes in 9-0, 5-0 in the last 5, taking on Sam Patterson, who is 4-1 in his last 5 fights with an impressive 12 wins and only 2 losses in the career. When we look at these two here, Sam Patterson, he has some things I like on the striking angle, but some things I really don't like. He's a good striker overall, and it's mostly his boxing that gets it done. The combinations are there. He's got decent power for a guy that when you look at him, you're not like, oh, that guy's probably hits like a truck. No, he's got some sting on those punches. He's got long, lanky arms, and that equates to a lot of snap at the end of those strikes. But the problem is the tall man defense. It's cost him before, and you don't like to see that, and we'll cover why in a little bit. Now, on the other side, or on the other aspect of the game, his jiu-jitsu, very good there. Now, he doesn't really have a ton of open mat takedowns. He can get them, but he's not like going out there and wrestling. He's kind of taking the takedowns as they come to him, which is fine because he's got good control, long limbs. He can wrap his opponents up, good choke arsenal. Like I said, those long limbs, them choking arms, if you know what I mean. But his takedown defense kind of but he does work to get up or sweep, and that's what makes him dangerous. On the mat, I do think Patterson is the better fighter here, not because I think Barlow's bad. I just think Patterson's pretty darn good on the mat, and he often gets overlooked. Now, when we look at Danny Barlow, his takedown defense is pretty good, so I do think he's going to be able to stop those takedowns, and we're going to get a striking fight. And when we look at the striking of Barlow, he's a good striker as well. He's got good power. He's got a good diverse attack with the leg kicks. He'll attack the knee. He'll go inside, outside. He can mix things up. He's got really good counter striking and that southpaw cross. They just get, pull counters, things like that. He can throw that southpaw cross, and that is, it's deadly. Got some serious power. Now, the one thing is, his hands will get low sometimes, and I think a lot of that's so he can work on that takedown defense. We can use the lower hands to shove guys down, but also so those punches come from odd angles. So there's a lot I like there. Defensively, there's not a lot I like for either guy on the feet, but that's okay. I do think that if this fight ends up in the striking, like I think it will, it's going to favor Barlow. Even though both guys are good strikers, I think Barlow has more weapons. I think he's got more power, and he probably has a bit more durability. So we're going to go Danny Barlow. But Patterson's live, and that grappling is there, and he could definitely get this fight to the mat and do some work if he's able to achieve that. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you 145 pounders here. William Gomis takes on Hyder Amil. Now, Hyder Amil is 10-0, 5-0 in the last 5 fights. For Gomis, he's 5-0 in his last 5, but he does have a couple of losses earlier in the career. Interesting fight. This is a competitive fight, and honestly, I've gone back and forth. I've flip-flopped. Anybody on the Patreon chat can tell you that I've been talking myself through it in the chat, trying to figure out where I wanted to go with this one, because realistically, when we look at this, these are 2 vastly different styled fighters, and it could go either way. Now, when I look at Hyder Amil, the guy's a good striker. He's got good power, a super aggressive forward pressure, good combinations, and he's durable as heck. Dude's coming forward, throwing power, throwing volume, and just trying to break you down and beat you until you drop to the ground and he can finish you off with some ground and pound, because he does have some powerful ground and pound. Decent grappler overall. He likes to catch kicks. That's how he'll get the fight to the mat and start throwing his ground and pound. His body kick to a downed opponent that's nice. You like to see that. But he does give up his back to stand up. That's not something I'm a big fan of. Starts really fast, keeps up that pace throughout the fight. Does not matter. Just keeps on coming. On the other side, though, he has the opposite style. William Gomis, he's also a good striker, but it's different. He controls the range. He counter strikes. He uses striking defense to do all this. He has low volume, but his body kick is pretty good. But either way, he's going to slow this fight down, and he's going to try to stay at range, circle, use his lateral movement, pick his shots, do what he needs to do there, and frustrate a guy that's going to be coming forward trying to land bombs. He might be able to do that, but might also not. We are in the small cage. A guy like Amil, if he can close that distance and start landing on you, you're probably in trouble. If it comes to the grappling, he's got good grappling as well. He's got good scrambling ability. He's got good ground and pound. He's not a big-time like grapple first type of fighter, but he has the ability to do it, and he's pretty good at it. Realistically, though, it's like, what do you favor? Do you favor the come forward, duke it out style of Amil, or do you take the Gomis style of pick a shot, stay at range, do what he needs to do? Because Gomis, when you look at his wins, he hasn't had a clean win yet in the UFC, and you're thinking, well, he has that TKO win. No, he kicked the dude in the balls, and the ref was like, nah, dude, you're done. That's what happened. It was weird. It was weird. Outside of that weird stoppage, he has a majority decision and 2 split decision wins. He's not separating himself in these fights, but he's doing enough to win. So it's tough to pick him, but it's tough to pick against him. The win over Brito was extremely impressive. I didn't think he stood a chance against Brito going into that because I figured Brito would do what I would expect Amil to want to do, and that's walk him down and land some power shots and start hurting the guy. Brito wasn't able to do that. He landed 29 head strikes throughout that fight, significant head strikes. 29 did Brito land. This is a frustrating one to pick. I want to pick Amil because he's the underdog and he comes forward and all that stuff. But I think I'm going to be frustrated watching the fight, really annoyed, and seeing Gomis just stay on the outside, throw his body kick here and there, pick him apart with a couple of shots, staying away, and winning a probably split decision. I'll take Gomis for the sake of a pick. I hate it. I hate it a lot. I hate it. And I got to say, if you're one of those DraftKings players, I myself do that a little bit, I would suggest putting Hyder in there in a couple of lineups because this guy definitely has some upside if he wins. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Maybe you can talk me into an Amil pick. I would love to hear it. I'll see you guys next. Austen Lane takes on Mario Pinto. Pinto is the undefeated fighter, 9-0, 5-0 in the last 5 fights for Lane. 2-2 in a no contest in his last 5. That no contest being the eye poke to Justin Tafa. They got the rematch. Tafa knocks him dead. So in this next one here, in this matchup, we've got an interesting one. And there's some stuff I'd like to highlight on both sides. So this is going to be good. Mario Pinto, he's a pretty good striker, and he will poke with his jab. Basically just poking that jab. And that's how he's going to start the fight. He's going to do that until he really gets his range going. Because he does have combinations, but he won't start those combinations early. He doesn't start picking up the combinations until he's really found that range. That can be good, but it can be bad because it can result in a lot of him just poking the jab and throwing the leg kick. He does have a good volume of leg kick, but it can be a lot of him standing here, high guard, jab, jab, leg kick, jab, just for a round or so, round and a half, and then he starts putting it on. But it's heavyweights, right? So sometimes you don't want to take that much time. It could result pretty bad for you because everybody hits really hard. But I will say, I like that this is more of a plus than a negative, right? It would be nice if he could find his range a little quicker sometimes, is all I'm saying. Good grappling, though. By good grappling, I mean he's got really good, well, not really good, decent takedown defense, but he shows the ability to work back up, and that's hard for a heavyweight to do. When you're a 265-pounder, getting up off the ground just in general is tough, let alone doing that when you have another 265-pounder on top of you. So keep that in mind. Good top control, that's easy to do at heavyweight. See, top control is easy at heavyweight because you're a 265-pound man, and you have a 265-pound man laying on his back like a turtle. So that is easy at heavyweight. So there is that. Pretty good ground and pound, and he does build as the fight goes on. That is what I like to see. It kind of comes in line with that combination there. So there's some stuff I like about Pinto, some stuff I won't call him a slow starter, but you could give him the title of a slow starter. Now when we look at Austen Lane, basically, this dude is an athlete. That's what he is. And he can use that athletic ability to fight, right? He's got decent power, decent striking overall, good head kick. His defense is miserable, though, on the feet. So there is that. He's going to get hit. Decent grappling. He's got good ground and pound and some decent top pressure. He showed that in his last fight, which is something I want to highlight. Game plan. I'm not saying this guy always has good game plans, but I'm saying he went out there with the game plan, did not care whatsoever what the fans thought, didn't care what anybody thought. Came out with the perfect game plan. He said, fighting Robelis to Spain. What does Robelis to Spain have? Zero ability to do anything once you take him down. That's what Austen Lane did. So you like to see that because most fighters, especially the ones that are kind of like fringe level UFC, will go out there with stupid game plans and just try to like throw hammers and try to win a fight with an exciting win so they can get that extra 50K or something like that. No, Austen Lane said, I'm winning this fight and I need to win this fight. So we're going to go out there with a good game plan. So I do like that for him. Ultimately, though, I don't think it's going to help him here. I think Mario Pinto is going to jab him up, kick the leg, and then once he starts finding that range, he's going to turn it on and start beating the brakes off Austen Lane. So we're going to go Mario Pinto, probably a later finish. Could go to decision. Lane's pretty tough, but we're going to go later finish for Pinto. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next. Nasrat Haqparast takes on Estaban Ribovics in the 155-pound lightweight division. But before we get here, if you've been enjoying yourself, if you found this entertaining, if you've maybe learned something, I'd appreciate a like on the video. It is very nice of you. I appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. I understand if you're watching on a TV, that's kind of a pain in the butt, but you could probably link it with your phone. And if you have it linked to your phone, you can pull it up on your phone. You can hit the like there. I know it's a pain, but I do appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. But let's break this fight down. Nasrat Haqparast, 4-1 in the last 5. Estaban Ribovics, 4-1 in the last 5. We're going to start on the Ribovics side. Dude's a solid striker, and we saw him go to war at Noche UFC. Dude's got power. He can fight at either stance, works the body well, puts together combinations, but his striking defense is very bad. Dude just gets hit, does not care. He's durable. Tougher than a $2 steak, tougher than an old leather boot. The guy can take a shot, but he does not seem to care about defense whatsoever. Decent wrestling. He can mix in some decent takedowns. He does have sweeps from the bottom. He'll go for that Kimura sweep quite a bit, but if that fails him, his takedown defense isn't the greatest, and he can be held down by guys with good top pressure. But this dude is cardio, all offense, no defense. That is his style. Just come forward, throw a ton of volume, put some stink on it, do what he needs to do, but he does not believe in defense. And I kind of like it. It makes for fun fights, right? I think he's probably going to implement that same style here because we've seen nothing that should tell us otherwise. On the other side, Nasrat Haqparast. He's a good striker as well. He's got some clean boxing combinations, good volume, works the body well, comes forward with some decent pressure, and he has pretty quick hands. Ultimately, I think the fact that he's more looking boxing, and Ribovics will mix it up a little bit more, is what made me go from good and then solid being the better number or the better title up there. So I think he's good, and I think he can win striking exchanges because there's zero defense here. But I do think the ability to mix the punches and kicks more than someone like Haqparast does gives the edge to Ribovics. Decent wrestling for Haqparast, but he doesn't use it in the sense that he's out there shooting a lot of takedowns. He likes to get you up against the cage push and work the dirty boxing, and here he could have some serious success in this fight. That is where I think that somebody like Haqparast can win, is up against the cage using his dirty boxing. This is a good fight. This is a fun fight. There's zero defense on the Ribovics side, so that always gives you pause when you're picking him. But that win over Zellhuber, my goodness, does that show some levels here. I've got to take Ribovics. He's looked great, even though he gets hit a lot. I'm going to take him to win this one. I feel like this is going to be a fight that you rank up there by the end of the night as one of the fight of the night. So we're going to go with Ribovics. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you tuning in. 185-pound matchup here. Cody Brundage takes on Julian Marquez. Possibly a loser leaves town fight. Marquez, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, 2-2 in a no contest for Brundage. Both of these guys haven't looked the best as of late. When we look at the Marquez side, decent striker, right? He's got good forward pressure, power, and volume. Those are the good things he has. Striking defense is bad, and it used to be okay because he could make up for that with his durability. It's not looking so good anymore. Dude's been getting knocked out a lot, so the durability doesn't seem to be quite like it used to. If you're not able to defend your face and your style is predicated on coming forward and throwing bombs and trying to hurt your opponent, that can be a problem. Now, he does have decent grappling, but he uses it more so as a follow-up to the striking. He likes to hurt his opponents on the feet. Then he's quick to attack the submissions, especially the front chokes, once his opponents are rocked, wobbled, and on, doing the baby deer leg thing. So starts quick, cardio will fade. So that's something that you got to watch out for. So for Marquez, he's very much an early round, early starter type of guy. Needs to land his big shots. Now on the other side, for Brundage, wow, he's the type of guy that he has skills, but it's just sometimes he doesn't show up. Sometimes he, just, you guys know, the drill with Cody Brundage. Sometimes he's just not really wanting to be there, it seems. So good wrestler, good takedowns, and decent top control. But the problem is sometimes he's willing to pull a guard and he can get stuck on his back. Pulling guard is a horrible idea in MMA, especially in the year 2025. In 1993, it was a great move, but it is not anymore. So you want to see him wrestle offensively if you're on the Brundage side. You don't want to see him start pulling guard. That's a bad idea. Decent striker with pretty good power. He will eat one to give one, and he still has some durability, but obviously his striking defense is a liability because he's willing to eat one to give one. Man, I don't trust Marquez as far as I could throw him. I don't trust Brundage either, but Brundage is the type of guy that'll win some fights, and I think Marquez is probably going to get sparked. I'm going Cody Brundage. I'm going to take him. I think he wins. I know he's like the public dog this week. Everybody seems to want their pick to be on Cody Brundage here, and that scares me a bit because usually the public dog is a problem. But I really just think that Marquez is kind of done with MMA. He's doing a lot of other things outside of the sport. He doesn't seem to be in it with his heart anymore. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm judging Marquez prematurely, but he's on a bit of a skid. And it, his skills have kind of shown. So let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys in the main event. The main event, folks. This is the last reminder to like the video if you've enjoyed yourself. If not, whatever. But here we are in the main event. So we're breaking this down. We got Manel Kape taking on Almabayev. Now this fight wasn't the original fight on the card. It was Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval. Almabayev had another opponent as well. That's been changed. He's now in the main event. I believe he was fighting Alain Nascimento as the last one. There was a couple of them. Whatever. It's been shuffled. Here we are. Short notice for both guys, but only sort of because they already had other opponents. Now they're fighting each other. And this makes sense because both guys are towards the top of the division. We need a contender to fight Pantoja. Winner this likely gets there. Manel Kape 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Almabayev 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Now this is definitely striker versus grappler when you boil it down to its most basic form. But let's start on the Almabayev side. The guy is a solid grappler. He's got solid takedowns. They're very powerful. He has a variety of takedowns that he can use. He's a very good scrambler, loves to take the back, and he has a solid choke arsenal. But he can mix in the ground and pound as well. So basically, if he can use the grappling heavy game and get his going, he's probably going to have success because on the feet, he's decent. He's got some power, and he spins quite a bit, which I don't think is good for him, especially not in a matchup against a guy like Kape. But he does have some power, and that can change some fights because if you're expecting the grappling and you get hit with something over the top, maybe he goes in for the takedown, throws the overhand, things like that, that can change a fight for sure. Now, on the other side, Manel Kape, he's a very, very solid striker. This dude is lightning fast, and when he hits you, you sure know about it. He can mix it all up. He's got very good movement on the feet. He sets up his strikes with feints extremely well. The problem that he's had in the past is he can be a bit too patient at times because he'll be looking to counter strike. He'll be looking to hit you when you're, expecting to start landing some shots on him. You're coming in, you're getting aggressive, and then he can go from there. But if the opponent isn't giving him those opportunities, he can just kind of be a little bit too patient, and that can cause him problems. Now, we did see a matchup with him against Marquez where he wasn't really able to get his striking going because of the grappling just constant from Marquez. This is a bit different. Their styles, Asu's and Marquez's styles are different. So that might not be the case here, but it is something to make note of. Now, in the grappling, he's pretty good here as well. Now, the takedown defense is the thing that I want to point out because he did do a really good job at stopping takedowns from Marquez, as well as many of his other opponents. He is difficult to take down. Now, he can mix in his own takedowns if he needs to. Hasn't done that much in the UFC. Back in Ryzen, he would every now and then. Good cage push. He can land some solid knees there. But ultimately, the grappling advantage is going to go to Asu. The striking advantage is going to go to Kape. I'm going to take a shot on the underdog here because he's a big underdog, and I think the dude's pretty good. So I'm going to take Asu Almabayev. It's not something I'm mega confident in, but when you're giving me this guy at +2 something or another, take the shot, especially if I think that this might be one of those fights where maybe Kape's just a little low volume. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you down the road.